In the dark before dawn, a baker slides the last loaves into his oven. He has done this every morning of his life. His father did it before him. The bread will be ready by the time the city wakes, round, flat, scored into wedges, stamped with his name pressed into the dough. 1700 years later, archaeologists will find that bread, still in the oven, black as coal, still stamped with his name, because this is the last batch of bread he will ever bake, and no one in Pompeii knows it yet. It is the morning of the 24th of August, 79 AD. The sun is coming up over a city of 20,000 people, and above them, calm and green and covered in vineyards, stands the mountain. Nobody is afraid of the mountain. Nobody has any reason to be. In the language they speak, there isn't even a word for what it is about to do. Let me walk you through this day, because everything you're about to see, every face, every street, every ordinary thing, is happening on borrowed time. The city is waking up. Shutters bang open. A slave hauls water from a public fountain, the same fountain worn smooth by 100 years of hands. Carts rumble in from the countryside, wheels dropping into ruts cut so deep into the stone you can still see them today. Bakeries breathe smoke. Somewhere a dog barks, chained in a courtyard, straining at its rope the way it does every morning. Pompeii is rich. Not famous rich, comfortably, confidently rich. This is a resort town on the bay where wealthy Romans keep their summer villas. The walls are painted with gods and gardens and impossible perspectives. The floors are laid with mosaics that took years. Wine flows out of this region by the shipload, and money flows back in. Life here is good, and everyone assumes it will stay that way. Follow the main street toward the Forum, and you move with the crowd, because in Pompeii, you don't really walk, you're carried along. Stepping stones cross the road, raised blocks you hop between to keep your feet out of the filth and the runoff, gaps between them exactly wide enough for a cartwheel. Everything here is designed, everything works. A city that has solved its problems and grown certain of itself. The Forum opens up ahead, the beating heart of the town. Temples on three sides, merchants setting up, politicians' names painted across the walls in red, campaign slogans for elections that will never be held. A man argues about the price of fish, another leans against a column, half asleep. Above the rooftops, past the Temple of Jupiter, the mountain sits on the skyline, green, silent, patient. Here's something you'd notice if you knew what to look for. The wells are low, some have gone dry completely in the last few days, and nobody can say why. The water simply stopped. People shrug. Blame the summer. Send a slave further out to fetch water and think nothing more of it. They don't know that deep underground, the mountain is already moving, that the water is disappearing because something is pushing up beneath their feet. They felt the tremors too, small shakes over weeks, a cup sliding off a shelf, a crack opening in a wall. But this is Campania. The ground trembles here. 17 years ago, an earthquake nearly leveled the town and they rebuilt, bigger and grander than before. Some buildings are still under repair from it. So a few tremors don't frighten anyone. They are, if anything, reassuring. Just the ground doing what the ground does. Walk into the baths in the late morning and the city is at its most Roman. Warm rooms, hot rooms, cold plunges. Men doing business half naked in the steam. Oil and sweat scraped off the skin. The baths are where Pompeii relaxes, gossips, shows off. It is the most ordinary luxury imaginable, and every person soaking in that warm water has somewhere between 6 and 18 hours left to live. Down a side street, the walls are covered in graffiti, thousands of scratches that survived the ash. Real voices. Marcus loves Spendusa, a tally of a man's drinking debts, a line of poetry copied by hand, someone advertising rooms to rent, a gladiator's name, followed by the number of women who supposedly admired him. These aren't monuments, they're the noise of a living city, small, human, unremarkable. And they're the reason we know these people at all. By early afternoon, the heat is heavy, and then, sometime after midday, the mountain clears its throat. A sound, not loud at first, a deep crack from the summit. Heads turn, conversations pause, and a column of grey begins to rise, thin, then thickening, climbing impossibly fast into the summer sky. Nobody runs. Why would they? It's strange, yes. Unsettling. People come out into the streets to look, shading their eyes, pointing. A pillar of cloud, taller than anything they've ever seen, spreading at the top like the branches of a great pine tree. It is, in a horrible way, beautiful. They watch it the way you'd watch a storm roll in, a spectacle, a story to tell later. They do not understand that the mountain has just torn itself open and that everything falling out of that cloud is now coming down on them. Then the sky begins to rain stone, small pieces of pumice, light and porous, pattering onto the rooftops like hail. Children pick them up, they're warm, and they float. It almost seems like a game, but the fall gets heavier and heavier. Within an hour, the streets are ankle deep, then knee deep. Roofs begin to groan under the weight. And now, finally, the fear arrives. Some people run. They grab what they can carry, a lamp, a handful of coins, a favorite thing, and push into streets that are turning to chaos, the sky gone black at midday, ash blotting out the sun. Others make a different choice. They stay, they shelter indoors, wait it out, certain the strange weather will pass, the way strange weather always has. The baker, perhaps, seals his shop and waits. Both choices feel reasonable. Neither one is safe. For hours it falls. Through the afternoon, into the night, the pumice piles higher, and the people of Pompeii are trapped inside a disaster they still don't have a name for. And in the dark courtyard, the dog is still chained to its post, straining at the rope, unable to climb. It cannot get free, and no one is coming back for it now. And then, near dawn, the mountain does the thing it has been building toward all along. The great column collapses, and what comes down the slope is not stone this time. It is a wall of scorching gas and ash, moving faster than a person can run, hotter than boiling water, and it reaches the city in minutes. There is no outrunning it. For the people still sheltering in Pompeii, the last normal day ends in a single searing instant, and the city goes silent under the ash. Silent for 17 centuries. When they finally dig it out, they don't just find buildings. They find the shape of the day itself. Bread in the oven, a meal left on a table, coins counted out on a counter, and in the hollows left behind in the hardened ash, they pour plaster, and out come the people. A man shielding his face, a mother curled around her child, the dog, still straining at its rope, exactly where we left it. They didn't know they were living through history. That's the thing that stays with you. They were arguing about fish and scratching their names on walls and soaking in the baths and baking bread, just trying to get through an ordinary day. They had no idea the ordinary day was the whole story, that the small, unremarkable business of being alive was the thing worth remembering. The baker never came back for his bread. But the bread waited, and because it waited, so did he. His morning, his oven, his name pressed into the dough, held in the ash for 1700 years, so that someone, someday, would walk these streets again and know that he was here.